The arena buzzed with anticipation. Cameras flashed like lightning, and the murmur of the crowd grew into a low roar that seemed to shake the very walls. Every eye was fixed on the stage, every breath held in suspense. This wasn't just another debate. It felt like history in motion. And then it happened. Kamala Harris, usually poised and calculated, suddenly erupted. Her voice sliced through the noise like a whip cracking in a silent room. "You cannot be serious, Jasmine," she shouted, each word reverberating through the hall. The intensity was almost unbearable. Some in the front rows flinched. Others leaned forward, eyes wide, straining to hear every syllable. The shock was instantaneous. Time seemed to slow. Cameras zoomed in on the faces in the audience. Jaws dropped, hands clutching chins, smartphones trembling in midair, desperately recording what was unfolding. The murmurs turned into a stunned hush. Every seat held someone caught between disbelief and fascination. And yet, amidst the chaos, Jasmine Crockett remained unflinching. Her posture straight, her eyes calm, she met Harris's outburst with the kind of quiet resolve that demanded attention. The contrast was immediate, electric, the calm in the storm, the unshakable in the face of fury. The tension was palpable. The lights reflected off the sweat on Harris's forehead, the subtle tightening of Crockett's hands. Every micro-expression amplified, every pause elongated into suspense. Social media accounts would later explode in anticipation of this exact moment, but in the arena itself, it was raw, unfiltered drama, history unfolding live. And then the camera cut to the crowd again. Slow-motion faces frozen in disbelief. Whispered comments, gasps and shuffles rippled like waves. No one dared blink, afraid they might miss the instant that would dominate headlines and timelines for days to come. The moment hung in the air, heavy with expectation. And just when it seemed the tension couldn't possibly rise any further, Jasmine Crockett leaned forward, her voice steady, her calm expression unbroken. But what Jasmine said next left the entire room gasping in disbelief. The room was electric, and not just with the immediate clash on stage. Every word, every glance carried the weight of something far larger than the arena itself. This wasn't merely a verbal exchange. It was a battle for credibility, a test of generational vision, a fight for the soul of political identity in America. Kamala Harris had come prepared. She carried the authority of experience, decades of navigating power corridors, and a reputation for relentless drive. Every policy point she referenced, every sharp rebuttal she had honed in advance, was designed to dominate, to leave opponents scrambling. And yet, facing her across the stage was Jasmine Crockett, calm, composed, yet armed with a precision that few could anticipate. The stakes were enormous. Social media wasn't just a background hum, it was a battlefield. Every word would be dissected in real time. Twitter threads exploding, TikToks edited to highlight the drama, Instagram clips replayed 1,000 times over. Millions of viewers were watching not just for entertainment, but for judgment. Who had the moral high ground? Who commanded respect under pressure? Who would history remember as dignified, and who as reckless? It was generational too. The older guard saw experience as authority, wisdom as the ultimate weapon. The younger voices demanded authenticity, calm intelligence, and the courage to stand unshaken in the face of aggression. Crockett embodied this new era, a voice of measured defiance, challenging entrenched power without raising a hand in anger, without shouting to assert dominance. And yet, the pressure bore down on both figures. For Harris, any sign of faltering could fracture her image of control. For Crockett, one misstep, one crack in composure, could be exploited instantly by pundits, political adversaries, and viral commentators. Each second on that stage was a tightrope walk over a digital minefield, a moment suspended between triumph and catastrophe. The audience felt it, too. Hearts raced, hands gripped arming rests, conversations on the sidelines quieted, as people realized this wasn't ordinary political theater. This was history in motion, unfolding live before their eyes. Social feeds would light up within minutes, framing this single confrontation as either a masterclass in composure or a cautionary tale of misjudgment. And so the tension escalated. Each word, each pause, each deliberate glance became a loaded signal. Policy disagreements were no longer abstract. They carried symbolic weight, reflecting the values, priorities, and vision for the country. Every jab, every measured reply was a test of character, a public examination broadcast for everyone to see, judge, and share. This moment would not just define the debate, it would ripple across every social feed in America, commentators would later write. And as the room held its collective breath, the stage seemed to shrink, focusing all eyes on the two figures whose confrontation was about to become legend. Every heartbeat in that arena synchronized with the rising suspense. The stakes were clear, the tension unbearable. And just as the audience braced for the next move, Jasmine Crockett prepared her response, a calm before the storm that nobody in the room, not even Harris, would see coming. To understand the storm brewing on stage, one must first understand Kamala Harris, the figure whose presence alone commands attention and sometimes fear. Her journey to the pinnacle of America's politics is nothing short of remarkable, a career meticulously built on ambition, strategic alliances, and an unshakable drive to dominate the public eye. From the early days as a district attorney, through the Senate, and on to the vice presidency, Harris has cultivated an image of authority that few dare challenge. Yet behind the polished speeches and confident smile, there has always been a streak of assertiveness that often teeters into arrogance. Colleagues whisper about the moments she asserts dominance, not just in policy debates, but in the subtle theater of power. The raised eyebrow, the cutting retort, the insistence that disagreement is a personal affront. History is littered with instances where this drive, while effective, has also sparked friction, leaving allies questioning intentions and opponents wary. There is a duality here, the persona of the confident, unflappable leader and the undercurrent of calculated ambition. Her public statements, crafted for impact, sometimes reveal contradictions. Moments of empathy can be juxtaposed with sharp political maneuvering. Promises of inclusivity occasionally clash with the aggressive pursuit of power. This complexity creates intrigue, certainly, but it also exposes vulnerability, a fissure in the seemingly invincible armor of public perception. Past confrontations offer a window into this dynamic. Heated debates, viral moments of frustration, and clashes with fellow politicians have painted Harris as a figure who demands respect, sometimes through forceful assertion rather than measured persuasion. Critics argue that this approach, while commanding attention, can alienate allies and inflame opponents. The very qualities that elevated her, sharpness, decisiveness, and unwavering self-confidence, can become liabilities when confronted by an opponent who refuses to be rattled. The world has watched her navigate political storms with finesse, yet there have been moments when the calculated veneer slipped. The whispers of impatience, the subtle exasperation in televised debates, and the carefully edited clips circulated online all hint at a leader whose power is formidable, yet not absolute. Every victory has been earned through skill, strategy, and relentless ambition, but also through navigating moments that could have unraveled even the most seasoned politician. And then there is the question of perception. To the public, Harris represents authority, experience, and tenacity. To insiders, she is a force to be measured against, an individual whose confidence sometimes shades into hubris. In the arena of political theater, where every gesture and word is dissected, this duality can make all the difference between triumph and misstep. It is in this context that the confrontation with Jasmine Crockett gains its cinematic weight. The stage is not just a platform for policy, it is a testing ground for character. Harris's past has honed her for confrontation, Yet the very traits that have defined her career, assertiveness, sharpness, and an almost theatrical demand for control, also make her susceptible when faced with an opponent whose calm is unshakable, whose precision is surgical. History has shown that arrogance, no matter how refined, can meet its match. And as the tension built in the arena, the audience could feel the weight of it. Every glance, every subtle movement, carried echoes of Harris's past battles, her wins, her near misses, and the lessons she learned the hard way. But even with decades of experience, even with a reputation meticulously crafted over years, there remained one unpredictable factor on that stage: the poised, unwavering composure of Jasmine Crockett. But even the most seasoned politician couldn't anticipate the calm, precision of her opponent. While the audience's eyes were fixed on Kamala Harris, Jasmine Crockett stood as a quiet force of resilience and integrity. Unlike the whirlwind of political theater swirling around her, Crockett's journey had been defined by steady, unwavering dedication to truth, justice, and service. Her rise was not forged in the glare of immediate attention or the clamor of viral headlines. It was painstaking, earned through late nights, tireless research, and relentless advocacy for communities often overlooked. Born into a world where challenges were not abstract but deeply personal, Crockett learned early the value of persistence. Every setback became a lesson, every obstacle a step toward building the resolve that would later define her public persona. Friends and mentors recall a young woman with a clarity of purpose, someone who refused to be swayed by superficial power or intimidation. Her demeanor, calm yet firm, suggested a confidence rooted not in ego, but in the meticulous mastery of her craft. Her public service record reflects that ethos. Across courtrooms, policy discussions, and community forums, Crockett built a reputation for reasoned argument and deliberate action. She listened before speaking, weighed each decision with tear, and acted with a moral compass that seemed almost rare in the modern political landscape. Even under the most intense scrutiny, even when provoked by opponents or media sensationalism, she maintained a composure that many envied and few could emulate. It is this calm that made her uniquely formidable. While others relied on volume, theatrics, or forceful assertion, Crockett relied on preparation and poise. Her strength was not in overpowering the room. It was in commanding respect without ever needing to raise her voice. Colleagues would later describe her presence as magnetic, subtle, yet impossible to ignore. Her ability to hold ground calmly, even as tension escalated around her, created a paradoxical power. The quieter she was, the louder her authority resonated. Her path to this defining moment on stage was not without struggle. Political adversaries attempted to undermine her at every turn. Social media attacks, smear campaigns, and relentless questioning tested her resolve. Yet with each challenge, Crockett grew more disciplined, more precise, more certain of her principles. This was a hero forged not in comfort or privilege, but in the crucible of persistence, resilience, and integrity. And then there were the moments that defined her character in the eyes of the public. Times when she had confronted injustice with unwavering calm, addressing systemic inequities with measured, fact-based clarity. Times when she had chosen principle over popularity, correctness over convenience. These were not grandiose gestures designed for applause. They were quiet victories that built a foundation of trust and admiration that few political figures ever achieve. Every community she served, every courtroom where she argued, and every policy debate she engaged in became preparation for this defining stage. Each late night, each carefully crafted speech, each meticulous research session had been a rehearsal for a moment that would test not just her intellect, but her composure, courage, and ability to stand undeterred in the face of aggression. And as the arena lights shone down, as cameras focused, as the audience held its collective breath, Jasmine Crockett was ready. Her calm was not passive, it was intentional, cultivated over years of service, struggle, and dedication. It radiated confidence without arrogance, strength without aggression, authority without theatrics. Every gesture, every measured blink, every word she would soon speak carried the weight of preparation and the moral clarity of her purpose. The contrast with her opponent could not have been starker. Where anger and volume had often defined Kamala Harris's approach, Crockett's quiet determination represented the new paradigm. Courage grounded in composure, intellect paired with empathy, moral clarity above all. The room seemed to sense it instinctively. Even before a single word was exchanged, there was a tension, an expectation that something remarkable was about to unfold. All the preparation, all the late nights, would culminate in a single moment on this stage. The stage seemed to shrink as the verbal clash intensified. Every word uttered felt like a ripple on a stormy sea, spreading tension that reverberated through the arena. Kamala Harris leaned forward, her voice rising, each syllable sharp, deliberate, and pointed. "You cannot disregard the experience that built this office," she snapped, her tone cutting like a knife across the charged atmosphere. Sweat beaded on her forehead, reflecting the harsh stage lights. Fingers tapped impatiently at podium edges, and the occasional exhale from the audience punctuated the growing suspense. The air was electric. Every gaze locked onto Crockett, waiting to see whether the young, composed challenger would falter under the rising heat. But Crockett did not waver. Her hands rested lightly on the podium, her eyes calm, steady, scanning the crowd as if drawing strength from their collective focus. Every measured pause in her response stretched the tension further, creating a cinematic rhythm that drew viewers into the moment, making them hold their breath along with the room. Cameramen caught every subtle nuance, the twitch of Harris's jaw, the almost imperceptible shift in Crockett's posture, the ripple of murmurs moving through the audience. Close-ups of spectators revealed furrowed brows, wide eyes, and hands frozen mid-air holding phones, capturing the unfolding drama. Even the lights seemed to flicker in response to the emotional energy, highlighting the divide between aggression and serenity on the stage. The debate escalated with precision. Harris, emboldened by the crowd's initial reactions, leaned harder into the confrontation, her words sharp and rapid. Each phrase carried the weight of authority, but also the undercurrent of frustration, a crack in the veneer of unflappable power. Her gestures were forceful, punctuated by abrupt movements that mirrored the rising chaos in the arena. Crockett, by contrast, responded in measured tones. Her counterpoints were concise, deliberate, and factual. She did not shout. She did not gesture wildly. And yet, her presence alone seemed to command a deeper, more resonant authority. Every pause she allowed between words gave the audience a chance to digest her composure, heightening the tension further. It was as if time itself had slowed, the world holding its breath, waiting for the next move. Audience members shifted uneasily in their seats, torn between the spectacle of confrontation and the magnetism of restraint. Cameras panned rapidly between reactions, pundits scribbling notes, viewers leaning forward in anticipation, whispers spreading through the crowd like wildfire. Social media feeds were already lighting up, snippets of the heated exchange flashing across screens, hashtags trending before the debate had even concluded. Every second felt like an eternity. The contrast between Harris's rising anger and Crockett's unwavering calm created a narrative tension that was almost unbearable. The audience sensed that a turning point was imminent, that the clash was building toward a moment that would define the debate, perhaps even shift the perception of both figures in the public eye. And then, with a silence that shook the room, Jasmine Crockett spoke, changing everything. The moment on stage did not fade into memory. It ignited a digital wildfire. Within seconds, hashtags began trending across every major platform. #Crockett, calm, #Harris shout, #debate moment. Clips of the confrontation were dissected, replayed, and remixed. Viewers debated who had truly won the exchange, who had shown strength, and who had faltered. Every phone screen became a theater of opinion, a miniature stage for the unfolding drama. Political commentators leapt into action. Morning shows and cable panels replayed the highlights in slow motion, analyzing micro-expressions, gestures, and pauses. Experts dissected policy points, but everyone returned to the same conclusion. It was Crockett's unflappable composure that had captured the moment. Her calm, reasoned response became the lens through which the public re-evaluated the entire debate. Memes proliferated at lightning speed, blending humor with admiration. Images of Harris mid-yell juxtaposed with Crockett's serene expression circulated, evoking laughter, awe, and widespread astonishment. Even celebrities weighed in, sharing clips, voicing opinions, and praising Crockett's poise. Each share amplified the ripple effect, transforming a single-stage confrontation into a cultural moment that transcended the debate itself. Public perception shifted almost instantly. Harris, known for her assertiveness and authority, was suddenly framed as reactive, even volatile. Crockett, previously respected for her work in legal advocacy and public service, became a symbol of calm intelligence and moral clarity. Discussions spilled from social media into newsrooms, living rooms, and office water coolers as ordinary citizens and influencers alike debated the significance of that one moment. The narrative became larger than policy points. It was a story of temperament, of character, and of the power of restraint in a world dominated by spectacle. Viewers were not merely judging a debate. They were witnessing a clash between two paradigms: forceful authority versus measured strength. Crockett's heroism was not loud or performative. It was intentional, deliberate, and transformative. Even international observers took note. Analysts abroad discussed the exchange as a demonstration of American political theater, a masterclass in the power dynamics of stage presence. Videos of the encounter circulated globally, translated into multiple languages, and sparked conversations about leadership, composure, and integrity. The aftermath was a testament to the digital age. Nothing on stage remained confined to the room. Social media metrics skyrocketed. Views, likes, shares, and comments all exploded. The moment became a case study in how one measured response, one act of composure, can dominate headlines and define narratives in an instant. And yet, amid the frenzy of attention and analysis, the deeper lesson emerged. The exchange highlighted the enduring value of calm, measured authority in the face of aggression. It revealed how character could overshadow theatrics, and how quiet strength could resonate more powerfully than the loudest outburst. But the story didn't end there, because the consequences would reach far beyond the debate stage. As the lights dimmed on the debate stage, one moment stood above all else: Kamala Harris's outburst and Jasmine Crockett's calm, unshakable response. The echoes of that confrontation reverberate far beyond the cameras, the hashtags, and the news cycles. It wasn't just a political clash. It was a lesson in courage, dignity, and the power of composure under pressure. Jasmine Crockett reminded the world that true strength isn't measured in volume or theatrics. It's measured in how one carries oneself when the stakes are highest. Her calm, deliberate words cut through the noise, demonstrating that integrity and intelligence always command attention, even in the most chaotic of moments. Every gesture, every pause, every measured glance was a reminder. Poise can outshine aggression, and reason can prevail over anger. And this isn't just a story to watch, it's a story to act on. Stand up for what's right, even when it's difficult. Speak with clarity and dignity, even when confronted with chaos. Share this moment with others so that everyone sees the transformative power of calm courage. Let it inspire conversations in your communities, your circles, and your networks. Let it remind us all that leadership is defined not just by position, but by principle. If you've been inspired by Jasmine Crockett's poise, take action. Subscribe, share, and engage. Be part of the movement that values integrity over spectacle, calm over chaos, and truth over theatrics. Together, we can elevate the stories that matter and ensure that moments of courage and dignity are never forgotten. Stand up, speak with dignity, share this story, show the world the power of calm courage, and make sure it resonates far beyond the debate stage. As the echoes of that extraordinary confrontation faded from the stage, one truth became unmistakable. The impact of Jasmine Crockett's calm, measured response would linger far longer than any outburst could. Kamala Harris's shout had initially dominated the room, capturing attention and creating shock, but in the end, it was Crockett's composure, precision, and dignity that commanded lasting respect. The lesson was clear. True leadership, true influence, is not built on volume or aggression. It is forged in the quiet strength of conviction and the courage to remain steadfast when chaos surrounds you. History has always been shaped by moments like these, moments where an individual's restraint and intelligence redefine the narrative, challenge assumptions, and inspire generations. Crockett's response was not just a counterpoint in a debate. It was a demonstration of moral courage. Every pause, every deliberate phrase was a testament to her preparation, her discipline, and her belief in doing what is right rather than what is sensational. In a world that often rewards theatrics over thoughtfulness, she reminded millions that integrity is magnetic and dignity resonates far beyond the fleeting roar of anger. The arena, filled with flashing cameras and murmuring spectators, had become a theater for more than politics. It was a proving ground for character. And in that theater, Crockett emerged not as a reactive participant, but as a beacon of calm authority. While Harris relied on experience and intensity, Crockett relied on something even more powerful: presence. Her unwavering composure signaled that true influence does not require domination. It requires clarity, focus, and the courage to let principles speak louder than passion. This confrontation also revealed the extraordinary ripple effect of a single moment of integrity. Social media lit up instantly. Hashtags too, rending. Clips shared millions of times, conversations erupting across platforms. Memes, commentary, analysis, and discussions flooded feeds worldwide, creating a moment where values, not just politics, were being debated. The public did not simply react, they were inspired. They saw an example of how calm courage can disrupt chaos, how poise can disarm aggression, and how dignity can outlast spectacle. Yet beyond social media metrics and viral clips lies the deeper, enduring lesson. Leadership is not about being louder, faster, or more aggressive than your opposition. Leadership is about preparation, moral clarity, and the ability to rise above provocation. Crockett's performance exemplified that principle in every gesture: the steady hands, the unwavering gaze, the precise language. In a society often obsessed with immediate reactions and emotional spectacle, she demonstrated that patience, reflection, and calm resolve are infinitely more impactful. The contrast between the two figures on that stage was stark. Harris, commanding and assertive, initially dominated attention, but the world soon realized that authority without composure can crumble under scrutiny. Crockett, composed and principled, turned restraint into power, demonstrating that true influence is measured by character, not by volume. And this dichotomy resonates far beyond the political realm. In everyday life, in workplaces, in communities, individuals are constantly confronted with challenges, provocations, and moments that test their patience. Crockett's example offers a blueprint: confront challenges with clarity, maintain dignity, and let reason and integrity guide every response. Moreover, the moment transcended politics. It became symbolic, a metaphor for navigating a world often driven by reaction, spectacle, and instant gratification. Crockett's measured response shows that calmness under pressure is not weakness. It is strategy, foresight, and strength combined. Her performance is a reminder that in conflict, the true victor is not always the loudest, but the one who remains unwavering, composed, and principled. The aftermath of the debate also demonstrated the power of social validation when aligned with integrity. Millions witnessed, millions shared, and millions learned. Every clip, every commentary, every viral post reinforced the idea that moral clarity and calm courage inspire trust, admiration, and influence far more than anger and theatrics ever could. This is a universal lesson. The impact of integrity extends beyond the individual. It shapes perception, culture, and ultimately, history. And so, as we reflect on this unforgettable moment, we are reminded that courage takes many forms. Sometimes it is the bold, impassioned speech that moves the masses. Other times, it is the quiet, unwavering response that reshapes the conversation entirely. Jasmine Crockett exemplified the latter. She took the chaos of confrontation and transformed it into a demonstration of principled power. She showed the world that strength lies not in reaction, but in intentional, deliberate action guided by values. This story also compels each of us to examine our own approach to conflict and challenge. How do we respond under pressure? Do we shout to be heard, or do we act with calm authority, letting reason and integrity guide us? Crockett's example is not just aspirational, it is instructive. It offers a path forward in every interaction where stakes are high, emotions run deep, and the temptation to react impulsively is strongest. By choosing composure, clarity, and dignity, we amplify our influence and inspire those around us. In the end, the moment on that stage was more than a debate. It was a lesson in leadership, resilience, and the enduring power of calm courage. It reminds us that in any confrontation, in any challenge, our responses define us far more than the provocations we face. And it leaves us with a call to action, to stand tall, to speak with clarity, to act with integrity, and to influence the world not through volume, but through the unwavering strength of principle. So as the lights dim and the stage empties, remember this: true power lies in composure, true influence lies in integrity, and true courage lies in responding with calm, measured strength. The story of Jasmine Crockett is a testament to what is possible when preparation, principle, and poise converge, leaving a legacy that will resonate far beyond the debate, far beyond the headlines, and far beyond the moment itself. Beyond the spectacle, the debate became a mirror reflecting what true leadership looks like in any arena. Crockett's calm response was not merely a political maneuver. It was a lesson in emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, and personal discipline. She reminded the audience that strength is not measured by how forcefully you assert yourself, but by how gracefully you maintain control when the world pushes against you. Every eye in the room, every social media viewer, and every commentator dissecting the event saw the undeniable truth. Composure commands respect, and integrity commands loyalty. This moment also invites us to consider the larger implications of public discourse. In an age dominated by outrage, instant reactions, and viral spectacles, Crockett's demeanor is a clarion call to pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully. It is a challenge to all who aspire to influence. Elevate the conversation, lead with pride, principle, and let actions, not anger, speak for you. As the debate fades from memory, the lesson remains timeless. Courage is not the volume of your voice, but the clarity of your convictions.